Okay. So I hope my screen is visible. Okay. So uh, we have, so first of all, CPQ is a Oracle product, Oracle Cloud product. So most of you guys have a understanding with respect to the Fusion applications, right? So we also have a on-premise module called e-business suite. But in recent years, the cloud is more I can say pitch into the market, and the CPQ is also the cloud products. There is not a on-premise things available. CPQ is a basically consists of three words: configured, price, and quotation. So this particular module is using with respect to maybe I can say into the sales processes, or I can say order to cash processes. So if I say CPQ is the in simple terminology, I can say that if I want to create a sales quotations for my customers, then I'm using the CPQ system. So if I say sales quotations, which means sales quotation can be created with, I can say the products for the products as well as the services. So it's dynamically we can use for the industry who are selling the product or who are selling the services or providing the services to their end customers. So CPQ is a very, I can say that a small part of the sales processes. As a supply chain administrator or supply chain consultant, we always think about the sales will be initiated when the order will be coming, or I can say sales order that we received. But it's not like that. Before the sales order, there is a long process with respect to the other small stages. And based on that, we will receive the, I can say that the leads, or I can say receive the final sales and revenue with respect to the product selling industry or service providing industry. So CPQ is used for from the sales side of the process. So I think in ERP terminology, we used to say two kind of process: P2P and O2C. So P2P, which means procure to pay, when the industry purchase the materials or goods or services, okay, and then do the payment against those services or the product. And the second is order to cash, which means the industry are selling their product or selling their services, and with respect to that one, they will receive a money from the customers who actually purchase this particular product and services. So this is the basic terminology. So CPQ is lie into O2C cycle, not procure to pay cycle, because in procure to pay cycle we also have a one module called negotiation and RFQ, which is a kind of quotation, but it's a purchase quotation, not the sales quotation. So we are here into the sales side, which means order to cash, which is a this particular process. CPQ is well known with respect to the name of big machines, because CPQ previously this was not actually the developed by Oracle, but before 2012 this product was acquired by the big machines company. So I'm not sure saying they acquired, but they are owning this particular product. Big machine is the company who is the actual developer who developed this particular tool CPQ, and after 2012 or 13 Oracle has acquired this particular product. So this terminology you might be heard very commonly. Someone saying that Oracle CPQ Cloud and someone saying Oracle CPQ Big Machine Cloud or Big Machine CPQ. So it's a no two different things. It's just two different terminology. Okay. So do not confuse with respect to that one. Okay. Here I have just drafted all the brief overview regarding all the CPQ topics that I have mentioned over here. Uh, in general, CPQ having a so many small configuration, big configurations, and other stuffs. If I write up all this particular thing, it could be more than 200 different kind of setups. But I have just divided, or I have write down here the brief topics or brief configuration regarding the CPQ, and I have also divided into the streamline with respect to which topics are belonging to which particular streamline. So here you can see that for a moment you can ignore this particular required time or required hours for the sessions, because it will be depending on the candidate, like how much time it requires to get the more understanding on this particular point. So it could be extendable. So it's not that we have to cover this all these three topics in just 1.5 hours. It could be sometimes 2.5 hours. It could be sometimes just a 1 hour. So it's depending on like how well it is maybe easy to get by the candidate. Okay, so it will be changed. But I have just put very average time based on my experience. So you can ignore this particular point. So here you can see I have divided the CPQ in different channels. So for example, CPQ overview. So in CPQ overview, I have put down all these three topics. So with respect to sales cycle overview, because CPQ is not just the complete sales cycle. CPQ is a very small part of the sales cycle. So we, in order to understand why CPQ is very important in the recent market, we need to have a basic knowledge regarding the sales cycle and when this CPQ has been fit. So I will provide that particular overview, even though that those modules or those part of sales cycle is not a part of CPQ, but in order to get a more understanding, it's better to have a basic idea regarding the sales cycle overview. Apart from that, what is the different kind of sales quotation that we can create with respect to like what all the different Oracle CPQ cloud capabilities that we have, right? So in market, if you go and search with just the CPQ, you will get more than maybe a 5 or 10 CPQ modules. So like SAP also having their CPQ modules. They also have a same naming convention says CPQ, but it's a SAP CPQ. We also have one more ERP system into the market. It says Infor, and they also have a CPQ. We also have Salesforce, which is a one of the ERP system. They also have a CPQ. So every ERP system, whatever I'm saying, like Oracle, Infor, SAP, Microsoft, all these ERP system having their own tool, which they have a same naming convention as CPQ. Okay, so CPQ is not something that Oracle is using only, but they also have their own module. But why the Oracle CPQ is have more capability compared to them? Why the Oracle CPQ is more preferable options to having implementation of this module instead of selecting the Infor CPQ or the SAP CPQ, or maybe you can say that the Salesforce CPQ. So those kind of thing we will cover in this particular streamline. Apart from this, CPQ has been divided into two major area basically. CPQ with the commerce setup, and the second is CPQ with the configuration setup. Okay, so if I say commerce setup, there are list of setups that is available into the system. So I have just put down everything over here. So if I say commerce setup, it has been covered 50% of the CPQ part. Okay, so if you know or if you're aware about how to configure the commerce setups into the system with respect to business understanding, then you are 50% of the CPQ, you are aware about that one. So this is the one of the most I can say giant area or big area of CPQ exploration, where CPQ is providing a different functions. Based on that, you can set up your CPQ system, like how you want to see your quotation screen. Do you want to manage a separate layout of your quote? Different kind of fields that you want to open into the CPQ quotation transaction. You want to define the workflow statuses of different quotation like start, in progress, waiting for approval. You want to introduce one more status in between that. Apart from that, we have a functionality like once the quote is created for one customer, we also need to generate the PDF so that we can send it to the customer. So it's a kind of quote proposals. So how to design that documents into the system, right? That email notification. So there are n number of setups that has been associated here. Apart from this, like the approvals, for example, if a salesperson create the quote and then they have provided more than a 25% discount, and then if we have set up the approval rules, the system should send a quote for the internal approval, right? So something like that, there are n number of setups that is available over here in this particular screen. For a moment, if I explain everything, it will be very technical for you because you guys are not much aware about what is the CPQ. But I'm just giving the very quick overview and brief about the Oracle CPQ commerce part. Once the commerce part is completed, we have another part, another big area, which we can say that configurations. So do not get confused with the terminology configured the CPQ. Configuration of model, you can instead of using that particular terminology. So one is the commerce of CPQ, another one is the configuration of model of CPQ, something like that. You can use it. So here there are list of tasks that is available. Based on that, you can configure your product. So if I say configuration, so configuration is very simple terminology to assemble the product, or you can say select the different options and make the final product. For example, I will give you very simple example. So for example, if you want to purchase an iPhone, okay, you want to go with iPhone 15. Okay, so in iPhone 15, if you want to purchase, the sales rep or maybe the owner of that particular shop. For example, if you go to the shop and then you ask for iPhone 15, they might be asked some of the questions that, okay, in iPhone 15, we have a different versions and different variants are available. For example, let's say if you want to maybe iPhone 15, we have a iPhone 15, iPhone 15 Pro. Okay, and then we also have iPhone 15 Pro Max, for example. And if I go with the iPhone 15 Pro, then they might be asked some more question that, okay, what should be the memory size? Is it, do you want for 128 GB or maybe 256 GB or 512 GB, something like that? They might be asked this particular questions. Apart from that, they can ask with respect to RAM, right? Once you select, and when you come up that, okay, I need this, and then it's derived that, okay, you are interested to buy iPhone 15 Pro with 512 GB, and this is the configuration. Then they might be asked that, okay, do you need any back cover to protect your glass? Do you need any extra warranty, so that if during the warranty period, if your device is not working or something requires to be replaced, it will be managed by free of cost, something like that. Okay, or maybe additional subscription. So they are asking this kind of questions, and according to that, the person who actually purchasing this particular product, they are selecting the different option and saying that, okay, I need this, I need this, I do not need this, I need this. And based on that, the final version of the models will be prepared, or the product will be prepared. And according to that, the person or the store owner will create a bill and saying that, okay, you have to pay this amount. So it's a kind of very basic example with respect to the configurations. Okay, so configuration of model is having a different wider area and wider functionality with respect to product and services. So I'm just giving the example of product, but it could be also the services. So if I just give you very quick example, for example, let's say if you want to purchase the subscription of Netflix. Okay, so Netflix subscription, they are also asking some of the questions. Okay, your region from where you are operating this one. Do you need the subscription for 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year? Okay, according to the price will differ. The second questions they might be asked that, okay, how many screen you are interested? You need just one screen, two screen, three screen, or four screen, right? According to that, they can specify their charges, right? So it's depending on which option that you have selected, and according to that, they will provide that services. I will also give you one more example with respect to the transportation businesses. So, for example, you want to hire some of the transportation services because you are shifting from one city to another city, or maybe you are not belonging. It's very commercial. Let's forget about this one. But let's say if I want to transport my goods from one location to another location, and I am manufacturing of some of the, let's say, refrigerator, for example, but I do not have my own transportation services. So I will hire the third party services. Okay. So they might be asked some question that, okay, do you need a truck? Do you need a long carrier? Do you need do you want a container which we can protect with respect to some additional layer? Because if you want to ship some I can say that fragile goods, something like that, they might be need some extra cushion, or they might be asked some question that, okay, if you if you are shipping some, let's say, vegetables or the grocery, so it's very important that during the transportation also we need some refrigerator, right, within like equipped within the vehicles on which it will going to ship, right? So they might be asked this kind of questions, and according to that they will arrange your shipment or the transportation vehicle. So this could be a different n number of example could be possible in these terms. I am just giving very simplest example up till now. But when we start the training, I will definitely provide my experience with respect to different business, and where I have implemented the different processes with respect to different product, some of the service industry, some of this industry, right? So I will also share that experience. Then you will get more idea regarding this one. So this particular part, what I'm trying to say is configurations of model is covered 40% of the CPQ courses. So if you are aware about this one, you are aware about 40% of the CPQ system. Apart from this, there are some more areas are also there with respect to storing the master data into the system. Like the parts management, it's nothing but the item or product, whatever you can say that. Accounts management, it's a customer account management, because if you want to create a quote, you need a customer. And if you want to create a code, you need the item, right? Without item, without customer, you cannot create a code. Similarly, if you want to create a sales order or a purchase order, we need that information related to the products, right? So that's where we can store this, what all different functionalities available with respect to these things that has been provided here. Apart from this file manager, data tables, these are the additional data storage mechanism has been available into the CPQ system, where we store all this information into the CPQ, and then how to utilize it and how to populate these informations into the CPQ quotation, or maybe how to utilize this information into the different area of CPQs configurations. Okay, so this part we will cover into the master data management. Apart from this, we have this section saying single sign-on. So most of the guys, you are not aware about this one, but CPQ is a standalone module. If I say standalone module, which means it has their own URL, their own credential. So if you want to log in CPQ, you need to provide your own credential and login, and the system allow you to log in. But in Fusion applications, so if most of the guys are aware about, if you are aware about the Fusion application, so Oracle Fusion application is a global system, which means if you want to enable the order management, it will be available in Fusion. Purchase procurement, it's available in order management. Manufacturing, inventories, self-service, every modules are available within the same tree, same house, same URL. I can say that it's a Fusion application. CPQ has their own separate URL, and then you need to log in separately. So it's a kind of standalone module, okay, in CPQ. So in order to integrate it, or maybe not, in order to connect it with the other system or other module of Fusion, we need to enable general single sign-on options. And what all the different setups that system provide with respect to enabling this general and single sign-on options, that I will explain this particular point, so that user can perform end-to-end transactions seamlessly without re-login into one application to another application. So it's a kind of basic authentication between two applications. Okay. So this is here it is available. So I will explain this part. And then the last last setup of this part is the creation of the users, because every applications that have their own part or own functionality where you can define the user, you can provide the access to the users, a role access, something like that. In Fusion application, we have a role access, right? So we provide this access to that particular user. Similarly, it's so that particular part, since the CPQ is a standalone module, so they already have maintained their own mechanism where you can create the users or the salesperson who is actually working into the CPQ module, and how to provide the different accesses to that particular users. So these all things are already here in this particular section, so you will get it. And then after, there is a integrations. So CPQ is widely known, and it's a very advanced with respect to the integration, because it's a standalone module. So what all the different integrations are possible with CPQ, I will explain in terms of the CPQ knowledge, which means CPQ field mapping, what setup that is required to do in CPQ in order to enable the integrations, and like from the OICS perspective, maybe I will not explain in detail, because OICS is something that different part of the things. But you guys are, one of the guys are already aware about that particular part, right? The how to set up the OIC, how to use the pre-built connector, right? That is available, or calling the REST API and something like that. So we will utilize this knowledge also with respect to understand the basic things. But here I have put down all the integrations that could be possible, but it's not limited. So I have put only these interfaces, but I have, based on my understanding, but there is a n number of integration is possible, but it is depending of the users, or maybe the customers, not the users, but your customer who is actually using this particular CPQ system, or maybe implementing this particular CPQ system. So this will be covering around, maybe I can say, with the brief topic is about 45. Okay. So this, all the points are the part of the training, and some of the points with respect to some advanced query like a BML functions, some of the JSON language, sometimes it's a pure SQL, right, or MongoDB. A small part, not 100%, but the small part which I have written in my different projects, I will also provide that exposure, and I will also share one user guide, which is a big machine user guide. I can say that it contains all the topics, all the contents, and very crystal clear. Everything is available into that guide. So in future, or maybe during the training, you want to refer that one, you can refer it, and you will get more understanding with respect to the different CPQ setups. Uh, yeah. You guys have any questions with respect to whatever I have just explained? Anyone, you are free to ask any question. It's not a problem. It's better to maybe clarify what your expectations, and is it cover or is it something that different. So it's better to maybe clarify it now. So you guys can maybe speak up or maybe ask any questions related to this point.